Let's go to this now. Reservoir Hills residents are confronting KwaZulu-Natal Premier Nomusa Dube after she introduced the new temporary accommodation. They are unhappy with the 47 families that are set to join them, which they say will lead to overcrowding. 5 months ago, hundreds of people in the province fell victim to devastating floods. Our senior reporter, Dasen Thathiah, is on that story and joins us now for an update. So just a short while ago, Dasen, we had an update from the Premier talking about how there's a number of buildings that have been availed to help people affected by the floods. It didn't take long for reaction to come swiftly from residents of Reservoir Hills.
Not at all, Tulas. And just to quickly recap before I take you closer to that conversation. So one of the solutions that government had proposed was, instead of building what they had called TRUs, that was the initial plan, so temporary residential units, until they built the permanent structures to house these flood victims, they decided to use buildings like this one. This used to be student accommodation at some point. And now what government is choosing to do is to rent this from property owners, rent buildings like this from property owners. So this one is to house 47 families that were living at the Truro Hall in Westville after the floods. So that was the announcement that they were making today. They said that those families are expected to move in here within the next day or two after some cleanup and painting is done. They are currently at another temporary accommodation before they get here. So the idea is that they are supposed to then wait for permanent structures to be built, and that's happening not far from where we are now. I think it's also important to note at this point that this was a community that came from here. So they were living at an informal settlement which was completely destroyed during the floods, and that's why this location was chosen to house them. So they found accommodation in this area, and as KZN Floods was explaining to this community a short while ago, these are people that are also employed in this community. Let me just try and get a little bit closer to just allow you to listen in to the exchange.
We said, ma'am, we're going to have a register at the gate. People will register. We will make sure. We even said to them, if you have visitors, you must say that up front so that we can see and know whether those visitors can come in or not. Because there's also restrictions here. We can't pile, because for us, it's not about piling people as if they are animals.
Well, that's what
they have to know before, ma'am.
So will you get the engineers to come in tomorrow?
Please, can you bear with us?
But
that was before.
Surely before
not
all
now.
of this, you should have had the engineers coming in anyway to vet the whole place.
We couldn't, because what we knew is that there are people already staying here.
There's nobody at the moment.
But they were here.
No,
the students were staying.
They haven't been here for a while, for years. No, so surely before all of this, the due diligence of checking if the infrastructure and the sewage. So is that going to be done tomorrow? Are the engineers coming in to check the sewage, the noise, everything?
Not the noise.
No, noise is an important environmental
factor. Check the noise without people being here.
Yeah, you can't.
People are not here.
No.
You're making noise. We're making noise ourselves here.
No,
Come on.
a home,
We're making noise
that's
here.
meant for 6 people or 10 people is going to have different noise pollution than a house where 40 people are housed.
Okay. Thank you.
Tulas, I think that gives you a sense of what some of the concerns are here. Residents have been naming a number of issues that they're concerned about. You would have heard the last one there around noise. They spoke about sewage issues as well, and they're saying that they want these to be addressed. So in summary, what's happening now is that, as we understand it, a meeting is going to be called. It could be as soon as tomorrow, where some of these issues will be ironed out, because the residents say that they were not consulted. In fact, they've gone as far as calling the property owner and asked him to intervene. If I can maybe just bring you into this conversation, we are live on eNCA. This is KZN Floods. Sir, I heard you addressing the community now in relation to some of their concerns. They were saying that, in effect, they believe that there isn't even an agreement between the property owner and government. Can you confirm that there is?
There is an agreement between us and the property owner, and that is why, as you have going in, you saw the renovations that are being made. It's part of the conditions that we have put, that he needs to clean the place up, and there needs to be touch-ups to accommodate the kind of setup and the living space that we need. So there is an agreement. I understand that he was under pressure from the angry residents, and we had some of them as they were coming in, talking to him on the phone and all of that. So if you are being addressed and questioned by protesting people, you might say whatever you want to say to protect yourself and your property. But there is an agreement between us and him, and we have committed to the community that we are going to come in tomorrow, have a meeting with them so that we tick every box
around some of these issues like sewage, for example.
Their concerns. Now, what is happening is that from what we are hearing here is that there's a trust deficit between the landlord here and the community, because previously this place was used as a student residence, and there were issues that apparently they raised with the municipality, and some of them were not addressed to their satisfaction. Now, this is a different setup. We were not part of that agreement to move in students and all of that. Now, it's government acting together here to care for the people in terms of the disaster response. And we are going to do everything in our power to ensure that, one, the people that we are moving in are not treated as goods. We are not just piling them in and leaving. We ensure that the living conditions are to their satisfaction, are humane, and also that the community around is happy with their being here, because otherwise there are issues of safety, there are issues of... Our understanding was that they are part of this community, and we still insist. That is why when other accommodations were available elsewhere, we couldn't move them to them because they wanted to stay in this community. Because most of them work for the community here. Most of them work at the school. I know someone who works at the school and all of that.
I just want to get in one question here. So does this mean that the plan will proceed as you've outlined it, in spite of this meeting that's going to take place?
Yes, we are confident that the plan is going to go ahead. Because the residents have not said they don't want them. They've said they want their concerns to be addressed. So we are going to come in and address those concerns. If there are issues with the sewer pipes, we'll sort those out. If there are issues of compliance in terms of the building regulations and all of that, we'll deal with all of those. We are the municipality. That's our forte. But otherwise, we are confident that these people are from this community, and this community is not going to stand in the way of a humanitarian intervention by government.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Tulas, if I have a minute, I just want to bring in one of the residents. So we're live on eNCA. You had put forward your concerns to the Premier earlier. After this interaction and this confrontation, if I could call it that, are you happy with what you're taking away from this?
Oh, yes. Now, they are our people, and they live in our area, and we need to give some consideration, and we have done that now. And we will be actually meeting with the councillor, who will be in charge, making sure that no issues happen here, the noises, the ablution facilities are okay, there's no sewer runnage, etc.
What is top of your list? Because one of the things that the government officials here were saying is that they don't want it to appear that there's just a dislike for the people that are coming here. So they want to make sure that these are valid concerns. So top of your list of those concerns that you've raised, what would that be?
Well, the first one is overcrowding. Okay, if they say 47 people, it must be 47 people, not 47 families. So this house is a 5-bedroom house. It's been converted into student accommodation, and there were over 120 students here. But we're being fair. They are our people. They are living in squalor conditions, and I've spoken to the residents. The residents have given their concerns, and the Premier has assured the residents that every concern will be adhered to, and she will be meeting with us tomorrow.
Thank you so much for your time. Tulas, this just really raises the question of how these issues are going to be dealt with in other areas. Remember, this is only one of what is called a mass care center, and that's where these flood victims are being housed. But there are many of them. In fact, there are about 80 of them left. And as a result of that, they will have to be having similar conversations in other areas, because those that are in those centers will now also have to be housed. They're saying that this should happen in the next few months, the complete closure of these centers while they are building permanent structures. But this has also been one of the issues, not just when it comes to the what they are calling temporary emergency accommodation, but also with securing land. But right now, government has also assured us that they have managed to attach a parcel of land to every one of those centres, which effectively means that all of those people will ultimately be housed.
All right, Dasen, let's leave it there for now. So certainly a lot to be digested there in as far as relations within that community, but also their concerns around the accommodation of those people in that area. And as you say, there's going to be that meeting that will be taking place, and the government undertaking that those concerns will be addressed. That is Dasen Thathiah there reporting for us from Reservoir Hills in KwaZulu-Natal.